Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of Renfrew County Housing Corporation on August the 10th at 1 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Has roll call been taken, Wendy?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's been taken.
Thank you. As we gather this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, then I will need a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting held on June 15th, 2022. Moved by Councillor Arrears, seconded by Councillor Reinwald. Thank you. Any additions, corrections, or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we have no delegations at this time, and then we will move on to the director's report, and I'll turn that over to Director Lapine.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, members of the Renfrew County Housing Board of Directors. My report begins on page 3. It's a very brief report, and we have an information item as the first item, which is the Community Housing Capital Projects Update. And you'll see attached is the update on where we are with the carryover projects. You'll notice many of them have been completed. And then the other document, which is Appendix 2, is the current projects that we have on the go. And we're on track for many of these projects, but certainly supply issues are slowing us down in some progress. But we are hopeful that we will have most things achieved and completed for the end of the year. Item number 2 is a resolution on a contract approval. Chair, may I read the recommendation, please?
Yes, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So the recommendation is that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approve the proposal as submitted by Arrears Construction in Pembroke for the replacement of asphalt shingle roofs at 14 duplexes and 1 single unit on Massey Crescent and Airth Boulevard West in Renfrew, Ontario, in the amount of $145,900 plus HST, and further that a contract be executed. The background is attached, but you can see here that we have put this out to tender. We have quite a few roofs. These are small roofs. I believe they're the roofs that over the doorway, if I'm not mistaken, on several of our properties in Renfrew County Housing Corporation. It's been a long time since they've had any work being done on them, and they are definitely in need of repair. Because of the slope that is involved, they are losing a lot of the shingles, and it continues to be a concern with not only the amount of repairs that we have to do, but a health and safety issue for the tenants. So you will see in the background, we received 4 different proposals, and under our policy, the Renfrew County Housing Corporation policy, RCHC-02, procurement of goods and services, 19.7, awards emanating from a request for proposal that are greater than $100,000 require approval from the Renfrew County Housing Board of Directors. This cost for this particular project is covered in our capital plan. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lapine. So you've heard the recommendation. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please, on the roof replacements? Moved by Councillor Grills, seconded by Councillor Reinwald. Comments or questions? Yes, Warden Robinson.
Thank you. I'm the furthest thing you'll ever find from someone who knows anything about construction, but it floors me that the difference between the lowest tender and the highest tender is more than $200,000. Just not sure if they were really bidding on the same project.
It certainly is quite a price spread. The one question I'd had for Ms. Lepine, when we were going through these reports was the fact that a lot of the roofs now, and especially the shingle quality, is certainly not what it was years ago. And I'm wondering if staff have ever considered looking at metal roofing as opposed to the asphalt shingles. I know there's probably a higher upfront cost, but usually there's a longer life as well.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I would like to defer this question to my colleague Craig Kelly as the property and property director currently, and has more experience with the bricks and mortar side of our housing portfolio. So if I could ask Mr. Kelly to speak to that, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kelly.
Sorry, turn my mic on a little. Yeah, good afternoon, committee, and through you. So what we were looking at on this project was a strict replacement of the shingles. Steel, from our experience, is 2 to 3 times more expensive than shingles, so it wasn't really in the budget to do so. That and the construction of these roofs lend themselves more to the shingle. There are different structure of roof, and it needs to be a shingle type style. But that's why you'll notice in this is that we've actually added particular notation that they have to be 6 nails and different adhesion to this to make sure that the shingles last longer. The issue was 15, 20 years ago, I think it was IKO shingles, where they failed. There's a class action lawsuit around it and everything else. So the new shingles are made of more asphalt and a fiberglass material, and they do last longer, and these are 35-year shingles. So that, and there still is upkeep with steel roofs, and you still have to tighten them down, you still have to paint them, there's still other work to be done. So at this point, the recommendation is to go ahead with the asphalt shingle.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. So when you say 35-year, then we'll probably get 20. Thank you very much. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. So moving back to information item number 1, the Community Housing Capital Projects Update. Comments or questions? Seeing none, then I will need a mover and a seconder to adopt the director's report as presented. Moved by Councillor Arrears, seconded by Councillor Love. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And that takes us to the Manager of Housing and Homelessness monthly report, and I'll turn that over to Ms. Dombrowski.
Thank you, and good afternoon. The report begins on page 7 of your package with information item number 1. That is a summary of second quarter Community Housing Registry waitlist statistics. Within the first table, we will note that the total eligible applications as of the second quarter are 1,225, with a total number of active applicants at 1,545. The first quarter statistics were 1,117 applications. And I've noted that just to illustrate a slight increase between the first quarter and the second quarter of about 100. The second table will show a breakdown of the types of units that the applicants require by bedroom size. Following on to the next page 8, this third chart will show the distribution of applicants that correspond with the bedroom size. Information item number 2 shows the move-ins, move-outs, and internal transfer comparison for the second quarter. And the numbers are pretty identical to what our first quarter was, with about 20 move-outs that occurred. The third item is a reflection of the landlord and tenant board notices and applications. And again, comparing this to our other quarters, this is on trend, and there's no real differences in the frequency of numbers and the various categories. Information item number 4 provides information regarding the rent arrears that accumulate within the Renfrew County Housing Corporation portfolio. I'll bring your attention to Appendix 2 specifically. And Appendix 2 is on page 13 of your package. And it highlights what the arrears have been by site from 2017 up to 2022. And in the first column, you will notice that between April, May, and June, that we are seeing an increase to the arrears. However, in comparing this information against previous years of arrears, this is not anything to be concerned of as far as being a new trend. It is something that we do see from time to time within our portfolio, that we have increases and decreases. However, there will be, following this report, a closed meeting item, and within that item, there'll be further discussion around strategy regarding arrears mitigation. Item number 5 provides an overview regarding the homelessness prevention program. And there's information regarding the changeover of the program, and that the funding was originally the Community Housing Prevention Initiative, and that changed over as of April 1st of 2022 to be the Homelessness Prevention Program. The province of Ontario used the same name for the funding that we already had in place for our emergency services for homelessness, also called the Homelessness Prevention Program. Within this information item, you will see a breakdown of how funding is allocated towards our programs. And I'll bring your attention to page 10, where you will see what we have for activity for our emergency program of homelessness prevention, where in the second quarter we saw 273 households that were approved for benefits, and the total expenditure was just over $181,000. In the following table for rent allowance, I'll bring your attention to the chart specifically regarding the month of June. Under the previous portfolio of Community Housing Prevention Initiative, we also had the rent allowance program, but we had less funding allocated towards that program. As of April 1st, we increased the funding amount. And since approval from committee to move forward with that plan, we reached out to people who were on the social housing registry waitlist, folks that were waiting for an affordable housing solution, and offered some spots to the rent allowance program. And that is why we see an increase in the month of June. The Emergency Minor Home Repairs Program is an important program to help people with certain repairs so that they're able to stay housed in their own homes that they own. However, in the first quarter, we did not have big uptake for that, but I can let you know that recently I've had several approvals come past my desk, and that we will see an increase to that in the next statistical report for the third quarter. The next item is information item number 6, and that is the Treasurer's Report. The Treasurer's Report is found on page 14. And of note, I'll draw your attention to ongoing expenses such as administration and building expenses such as heat, light, and power. So those expenses, we'll see that there's a current variance regarding what has been spent in comparison to the year-to-date budget. However, this is typical. We see this year over year in our budget, and we will see that we will get closer to our anticipated full budget as the year moves on. I'll also bring your attention to the capital repairs, non-CCA, and the building repairs and maintenance sections where we're showing that we have spent more at this point in the year in comparison to the year-to-date budget, but I'll also note that the amounts are still well within our full-year budget. And again, this is something that we typically see with our operations. So overall, there's no items of concern to report on regarding our Renfrew County Housing Corporation budget at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Dombrowski. I think we'll stop there. We'll go back through the information items before we move to the resolutions and recommendations. So information item number 1 is the 2022 second quarter community housing waitlist. Comments or questions? Yes, Warden Robinson.
Thank you very much, Chair Brose, and through you to staff. I just want to clarify, and again, I should obviously know the answer to this question, but I don't. So on the top of page 2, we have active applicants, and so for example, 1 bedroom, we have 81 seniors and adults, 730. What I'm wondering is the 81 part of the 730? Or do we separate seniors and adults at 2 separate categories?
Thank you, through you, Chair, to Councillor. Can I just clarify, we're referring to the information item number 1?
That's correct. So at the top
Okay.
of it, it says 1545 active applicants. What I'm trying to figure out is when we identify 81 people as seniors, then we identify 730 as adults. Is the 801 seniors part of the 730?
The senior count is separate from the adult count.
So it would be a total of 811 looking for 1 bedroom then. Am I doing the math correctly? Yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any further questions on information item number 1? The first chart, the second chart is move-ins, move-outs, and internal transfers. Questions or comments? Seeing none, then we'll move to item number 3, and that's the landlord and tenant board notices and applications. Questions, comments? I see none. Item 4 is the Renfrew County Housing Corporation rent arrears. Warden Robinson.
Thank you. Through you to Jennifer. I understand what you're saying about, this, we see this often where it's getting higher, the arrears, April, May, and June. What disturbs me is the total amount of arrears, not so much the trend, but we're edging up to $100,000 in arrears. So I look forward to our conversation when closed.
Yes, Ms. Dombrowski.
And through you, Chair, to the warden, what I can say outside of the closed is just that, definitely this is on, our fourth, this is what we are planning for to find a way to improve upon. Some additional information is that we currently, unfortunately, have several cases that are tied up in queue with the landlord and tenant board. Those cases do not have arrears issues on their own. There's other reasons that we are looking to go to LTB for. And once those hearings happen, and if they are in the landlord's favor, we then see the dollar amount change from a reflection to arrears, from off the arrears report to a write-off amount through collections.
Yes, supplementary, Warden Robinson.
Thank you very much. Through you to Jennifer as well. When you speak to your colleagues across the province, are other areas of the province experience the same sort of thing with arrears, or are we in some cases unique? I know we often talk to the province about how unique Renfrew County is. I'm hoping this is not one of these unique traits.
And through you, Chair, to Warden, this is not a unique occurrence. This is something that other municipalities as landlords face as well. And generally speaking, it's my understanding that this is something that private market landlords experience as well.
Thank you. Any further questions on item number 4? Item number 5 is the Homelessness Prevention Program and the changes to the program. Any questions or comments? I see none. So then we'll move to item 6, which is the Treasurer's Report. It's good to see that budget is on track. So that brings us to resolutions, item number 7, and I will turn it back to Ms. Dombrowski.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the committee. Item number 7, rent increase guidelines for 2023. The recommendation is as follows: that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approve a 2.5% rent increase to a maximum rent effective January 1st, 2023 for the entire Renfrew County Housing Corporation portfolio, and that all new tenants and current tenants shall be provided with at least 90 days written notice in advance. Chair, may I continue on to speak of some background details?
I'll get a mover and a seconder, and then we can go through the details. Moved by Councillor Reinwald, seconded by Councillor Grills. Thank you. So please go ahead.
Thank you. Additionally, the rent increase is set by the Government of Ontario, and the rent increase for 2023 is 2.5%. In addition to the annual rent increase, and as a continuation of previous direction from the Board of Directors from a September 2018 meeting, where a resolution decided that rents would be increased at an additional rate of $10 per month. That resolution is referred to within the package here, and it would impact the outlying areas. So it would exclude the units within Pembroke, Renfrew, and Arnprior. Upon looking at our total portfolio, we examined how many households would be impacted. At this time, there are 78 households that are paying full market rent for a variety of reasons. Most of the reasons would be because of the income that the household is bringing in. Upon evaluating the rent for the rent difference between the current maximum and the maximum after 2.5%, the difference is about $20. So some examples include Arnprior, 4-bedroom. The rent at max rate would be $922. Effective January 1st, we'll see that be $945. For Cobden, for a 1-bedroom, the maximum rent is $667, and with the change of 2.5%, that raises to $683. And for Pembroke, a 2-bedroom unit, the current max rent is $794, and with the increase, we'll see that up to $813. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dombrowski. I'll turn it over to questions or comments. I see none. You've done an excellent... Oh, sorry, Councillor Reinwald.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Ms. Dombrowski. So I think we've been through this before. If an individual, if there is a rent increase and the individual is not able to cover the costs of that rent or that increase, are they allowed some variance from that, or is that rent, will it still be maintained at the previous price, or are they basically forced into paying this amount, even though they're having difficulty in covering what they are right now?
Yeah.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to the committee. The rent charge at maximum rent is reflective of the household income. Where the household income is higher, there's no subsidy to the rent. The rent, as it is in the examples that I provided, are well below what the market is experiencing privately as it is. There is no further reprieve for tenants that might be challenged with the rent payment because of their income. And some of the examples that I looked at of the 78 that were at market rent, a substantial portion of that group had household income of over $3,000 per month. Some households with 3 or 4 bedrooms had household incomes of $5,000 per month, recognizing that more family members, would warrant a higher household income, but those are some of the amounts that we're looking at. So an examination of the facts show us that there already is deep affordability for housing for the tenants that are housed with us.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So I need a mover and a seconder for a resolution to adopt the Manager of Housing and Homelessness report as presented. Moved by the Warden, seconded by Councillor Love. Questions or comments on the report as a whole? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Is there any new business? Seeing none, then we'll move to item number 10, which is a closed meeting pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the purpose of personal matters about an identifiable individual, including employees. Can I get a mover and a seconder to go into closed? Moved by Councillor Reinwald, seconded by Councillor Grills. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So. I'm going to turn it back to Ms. Dombrowski to read the recommendation, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the committee. The recommendation is as follows: that the Renfrew County Housing Corporation Board of Directors approve the elimination of 11 positions and the addition of 12 revised positions, which includes 1 new position as proposed by the business case that seeks to transform staffing and services to align with a life stabilization and housing retention focus, and further that County Council is informed of these changes.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation from Ms. Dombrowski. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Grills, seconded by Councillor Love. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The date of our next meeting will be Wednesday, September the 13th, 2022. And then I'll need a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Moved by the warden, seconded by Councillor Reinwald. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Oh, Councillor Reinwald, you had a question.
I'm just wondering, has this date been changed? Yes. September 13th because of, there was Ontario East? Is that the 13th?
Correct. It starts the 14th. So what's the date of the meeting? I don't know. That's not what's the meeting?
Right now it says Wednesday, September the 13th.
September 13th is Tuesday.
It should be Tuesday the 13th.
Okay.
Is that the correct date?
The date is right. The day is incorrect.
Okay.
Sorry, so I'll just repeat that the date of the next meeting is Tuesday, September the 13th, 2022. All in favor to adjourn? That's carried. Thank you. So we'll move right to our Community Services Committee. I will call the meeting of Community Services to order at 1:56 p.m. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, could I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of June 15th, 2022 meeting? Moved by Councillor Arrears, seconded by Councillor Reinwald. Any additions, corrections, or omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have no delegations at the time. And then we'll move to the Community Services report. And we'll start with the department report. That's Ms. Lapine.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to committee. The report begins on page 3 of your electronic package. However, I'm going to, with your indulgence, change the order of the information that I'm sharing with you, because I want to take this opportunity to speak to item number 3 first, which is our new manager of childcare and early years. And I'm really pleased to announce that Margot Smith has accepted the position of manager of childcare and early years. Margot's been with us for 24 years here at the County of Renfrew, working within the Community Services Department. She has a breadth of knowledge working with Ontario Works and has worked in the community housing as well. We feel that Margot is going to be a great addition to our team. She has started already. She had a little bit of time working with Judy before Judy retired. And with her knowledge and a great team, we're pretty confident that things will go well. So I want to welcome Margot to the Community Services Department and introduce her to this committee.
Yes, Councillor Reinwald.
Thank you, Chair Bros. I just wanted to first say welcome aboard. And it's the first time I've got to see you because Andrea was filling the block here, so it's very nice to meet you. Thank you.
And I just would like to follow up that we're so pleased to have Margot on board with our child care and early years division. And 24 years, wow, that's a long time already. So I'm sure you certainly know the operation and certainly have background and will continue to do and move this department forward. Thank you.
So I will continue with my report. Thank you, Chair. So going back to the top of my report under information, the first information item is called Expanding the Amber Alert System, and you'll see that there's an Appendix 1, which is a resolution from Hastings County regarding the Amber Alert System for persons of special needs or circumstances who leave their caregivers or locations, people who are potentially at risk. So this is a resolution requesting that they expand the Amber Alert System to include more than just children who've been abducted. B is a resolution from the Corporation of the City of Mississauga, again speaking to the same item on the Amber Alert System called Draven Alert. And you will see as well the corporation under C, Appendix 3, is a resolution from the Corporation of the Town of Cobourg, speaking to the same item. And item D, which is Appendix 4, resolution from Bonfield Township, also speaking to the same resolution content, which is expanding the Amber Alert System. Item number 2 is Bill C-233, Kira's Law, and you'll see attached as Appendix 5 is a resolution from the Township of Perry regarding Bill C-233, Kira's Law, which is really about raising the level of education on domestic violence and coercive control for federally appointed judges. Item B under the same category is a resolution, Appendix 6 from the Township of Amaranth regarding Kira's Law again. So the information in item 1 and 2 is supporting resolutions from different townships and municipalities, one on the Amber Alert System and the other one on Kira's Law. And that, Chair, concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Lapine. So we'll move back to information item number 1, expanding the Amber Alert System. Comments or questions? Yes, Warden.
Thank you very much. I'm wondering if, maybe through you to Paul, if a member of council would like to move this forward to county council, do they at this point or within a certain time limit, I can't remember how many days they have, a notice of motion to bring this forward to county council? Is that how it would work, or are we looking for something from this committee today to go forward to county council?
Go ahead, Paul, because the warden asked the same question I was going to ask.
Thank you, Chair. It could be done of both ways. The easiest way, I believe, is if this committee passes a motion right now that this item be brought forward to County Council for their consideration and for this to be adopted at the County of Renfrew.
And I'm assuming the information item number 2 would be the same? Yes, Warden.
Thank you. Chair, I'm just looking for some clarification. So item number 1, there's 4 different resolutions from 4 different municipalities. Are we going to create wording for our own resolution now, or are we going to ask staff to provide us with something? I'm just trying to figure out the flow of this going forward to County Council.
Mr. Morrow.
Thank you. I believe, Warden, that the direction should be that staff be directed to prepare a resolution for County Council's consideration, ma'am.
So we have a direction to staff. Can I get a mover and a seconder for moving this forward to staff to bring something back to County Council? Moved by Councillor Reinwald, seconded by the Warden. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And item number 2, information item number 2, Kira's Law, then would be the same. We would need a mover and a seconder to give direction to staff to bring a resolution back to County Council. Moved by Councillor Reinwald, seconded by Councillor Love. All in favor? That's carried as well. Thank you. And Ms. Lapine would, she forgot to mention the financial report, so I'll turn that back to her.
Thank you, Chair, and my apologies, committee. I was getting a little excited there. So I'll go over the Community Services Treasurer's Report, which is on page 15 of your package. And we have the Ontario Works Childcare and Community Housing in this report. Really, you know, nothing jumps out. There's no red flags at this point in time, as this is a half of a year, so to speak. We have some underspending, we have some overspending, but all those balance out over the year. So, you know, I'm pleased to say that we're on track. It would appear that we're carrying a surplus right now, but that most likely will change when we come back with the next report. You know, we have differences in terms of, for example, benefits throughout the year when it comes to staff salaries, and we have different operating costs that get balanced out later in the year. So I think in terms of our treasurer's report for this, for June of 2022, we're on track, and we're not seeing anything that will be of concern. I have nothing at this point in time to bring to committee that would be of concern in the budget for these three divisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lapine. Any comments or questions on the Treasurer's report? Seeing none, then we will move on to the Ontario Works Division report.
Good afternoon, members of Community Services Committee. My report begins on page 16. Through you, Chair, to the committee. Item number 1 is the Ontario Works caseload statistics. Committee will note that there has not been a lot of change over the last quarter. And just in terms of caseload trends, we have been increasing throughout 2022. However, the Ontario Works caseload does remain below pre-pandemic levels, which was sitting at between 1,200 and 1,300 cases in the early part of 2020. Item number 2 is to let committee know that the Renfrew Police Services Board, along with the Renfrew OPP, were successful in obtaining a community safety and policing grant, which was in the amount of just over $1 million to be spent over 3 years. And they called a community consultation meeting, which was held on June 22nd at Mattaway Centre in Renfrew, with numerous community service agencies in attendance to talk about how they were, wanting to spend this grant. And so they're looking to take on 2 initiatives. The first being to open a Renfrew and Area Connection Center at the Renfrew Town Hall, which is essentially going to be a community hub that will be staffed by 1 uniformed police officer, 1 non-uniformed police officer, as well as some administrative staff, and be a place where residents can come and get assistance and support and information from the police, as well as other community agencies can have it as a meeting space and can come to sort of increase collaboration. They have reached out to our office along with other agencies to ask us to have a staff presence at the hub so that we can have staff there a day or 2 a month and also be available to answer questions about our services and increase our collaboration as well with the police. So we're really pleased to learn about that. The second part of the grant, they are wanting to launch or relaunch what's going to be called the Renfrew County Risk Watch Table. And this is a similar initiative to what was formerly known as the Situation Table, which is a group of community service providers. Previously there was about 16 at the table, Ontario Works, Police Services, Victims Services, Community Mental Health, Addictions Treatment Services, and several other community agencies to meet on a regular basis, twice a month to talk about individuals in the community who are at an acute elevated risk of harm to themselves or others, and to work collaboratively on finding solutions and supporting the individual in a very collaborative manner. So we're really pleased to be at the table for this. This is certainly something that's very beneficial for our Ontario Works caseworkers to have the access to those resources and to work in a really collaborative fashion. So we're pleased to see this being relaunched, and I think it will be extremely beneficial. And the third item in my report is the Youth Wellness Hub Open House. So I had brought information to this committee back in the spring about the Youth Wellness Hub that was going to be opening its doors. So they did host an open house on the 23rd of June at their new location, which is at 278 Nelson Street in Pembroke. And we were able to have several community services staff attend the open house to see the new facility and to meet their staff and to learn about some of the services and initiatives and activities that they're going to be offering through that hub. So this Pembroke location is going to be open for youth between 12 to 25 years of age on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they are planning to open a Renfrew location by January, and that location will also be open 2 days a week. So they will share staff between the two locations and be open 2 days at each end of the county. And they're also looking to have a van to provide some transportation for some of the youth that may be living in more rural areas to come into this youth hub. So similar to the previous item that I spoke about, we have also been invited to have a staff presence at the Youth Wellness Hub. So we're in the process of scheduling some staff that will be there, maybe 2 afternoons a week so that they can put that on their calendar of events. And when youth want to have an opportunity to closely connect with our staff and just ask questions about our services or about how to apply, that they can do that, in that location. And we can work together with their staff. So pleased to be learning about this, and we'll be working closely with them as well. And that concludes my report for this month, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. So we'll go back to information item number 1, which is the Ontario Works caseload statistics. Comments or questions? Seeing none, item number 2 is the community consultation meeting. Yes, Warden.
Thank you. Just a comment. A lot of things were put aside during the pandemic and during COVID. And from my recollection, the situation table was having significant positive impact on residents, especially the frequent flyers, for a better term. So I'm really happy to see that they're going to start the situation table up again, or what is now called the Renfrew County Risk Watch table, because folks who need intervention and supports, they're falling through the cracks. They have fallen through the cracks. So I'm very pleased to see this so that we can assist the people that need our assistance.
Yes, Councillor Reinwald.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Andrea. So have they worked out a process yet in how to deal with certain situations, like an individual comes in and has some issues that they have to deal with? The group of folks that are sitting around the table, have they figured out how they're going to direct or redirect the individual who's in a high needs situation, and to get to that end result? I'm just wondering if how much communication has been done about that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Patrick.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to Councillor Reinwald. So they are in relatively the early stages of kind of putting together both the Renfrew Area Connection Centre and relaunching the Risk Watch table. They did indicate that they were hopeful to open the Connection Centre in September, so maybe coming relatively quickly. I think that this will be very much as the warden had indicated, this is really important. Certainly our Ontario Works staff do this already with many community service providers, and I think every situation is a little bit different, and nobody, we're more successful in solving these things if we can work collaboratively and make sure that we're all working with the same information and we're supporting the individual together. So I think just that opportunity to have someone take the lead on having this structured setting where we can, review these cases and look at, what are some things within the police ability to do, what can we do in terms of some financial supports, what may, mental health be able to do in terms of their staff. I think that's where we come up with, the innovative solutions to support each individual case in the best manner that we possibly can.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. I'd just like to add as well that I think this risk watch table will be an important component to most of our community safety and well-being plans, because they certainly always speak to the collaboration as well with the different agencies. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, then we'll move to item 3, which is the Youth Wellness Hub. Questions, comments? The one question I had, or maybe more of a comment, is that I think this Youth Wellness Hub will be an important part to help with some of our youth who could be headed towards the human trafficking, and maybe give them a safe place and a place to gather some information and support. And hopefully that it might have, that might be one of the outcomes or one of the impacts. Any feedback on that, Ms. Patrick?
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee. It's an excellent point. I certainly think that, that's very much on their radar as far as wanting to provide a safe place where people can go for, both for recreation or for services. I have the Youth Hub calendar of activities, in front of me here, and, I think what they're doing is they're offering some, enjoyable activities like jewelry making workshop, but art tutorial, but also, healthy eating workshop, and also having, nurse practitioners and service providers and, other clinicians available. So I think, very much correct that it's going to be a safe haven where they can go just for activities and support and to meet friends, but also, if they're struggling, there's somebody to reach out to, or somebody that may be able to identify that they may need some help, and help to connect them to another another service. And certainly, I know that, like, they've invited, community services to be there. They've also invited, victim services and other agencies who would, be very much trained in how to identify somebody that may be at risk of being trafficked. And so that would be an early intervention that could certainly take place.
Thank you very much. Certainly, again, a great service that we'll have in Renfrew County, and look forward to the one. The one opens in Renfrew in January. That's the proposed date. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, then that brings us to our Child Care and Early Years Division report, and Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the warm welcome. I know I have big shoes to fill in the wake of Ms. Mulvihill's retirement and a big learning curve ahead of me. However, I also know that I have a great team behind me, so that's always a comfort. My report begins on page 19 of your package, and my information items are related to the year-to-date statistics for childcare. Item number 1 is speaking to our inclusion services statistics and the number of children served in that program. You will notice that the numbers are fairly consistent throughout this year so far. Item number 2 is our licensed home childcare statistics, which is the County of Renfrew licensed home agency. So the good news, as can be seen on this chart, is that the number of licensed homes with our agency has been increasing since the beginning of the year. Item number 3 is our licensed childcare statistics as a whole. You may notice that the numbers listed in this chart have increased from January to March when compared to the May committee report. This is due to us adding in the numbers for licensed home childcare to the totals. And I wanted to address the disparity in the numbers between licensed capacity and operating capacity. Licensed capacity is referring to the maximum number of spaces that have been designated by the ministry, and the operating capacity is the actual numbers at this time. Certainly, staffing issues within the childcare sector would certainly play a part in the gap with these numbers, but as well in adding the 2 licensed home childcare agency numbers. this is contributing to the gap as well. What I can tell you about that is right now there are 2 licensed home childcare agencies. We are one of them, and the other is the PMFRC. And we are licensed for 25 homes, but are currently operating at 5 at this time. And PMFRC actually has double that license capacity. So they have up to a license capacity of 50, but are currently only operating 3 homes at this time. So that does contribute to the numbers. My next item is a bylaw. Chair, would you like me to go ahead and read the recommendation?
I think we'll deal with the information items first, and then we'll go to the recommendations. So going back to information item number 1, the inclusion services statistics, comments or questions? Seeing none, item number 2 is the licensed home child care statistics. And the comment I want to make is that I'm really pleased to see that the number of licensed homes are increasing, because the number of children on the wait list don't seem to be decreasing. So hopefully we can get more licensed homes to come on board. And item number 3, oh, sorry, Councillor Regier.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just a comment. I'm just questioning, with only having 5 operating homes, do we have any idea why that is, especially when there's such a huge wait list? Why is there 20 homes out there that aren't operational? And if I can just add something, I do know several childcare providers that are not licensed, would like to be, but there's a lot of red tape behind it. And I'm just wondering if there's any way we can alleviate any of that red tape, that we could perhaps open up another 20 homes and get rid of that waiting list.
Ms.
Thank
Smith.
you.
Through you, Chair, to committee, I'm not sure of the answer to that specifically. I definitely agree with you that there is quite a disparity in terms of the license capacity that we have to bring licensed homes into the fold, and I certainly do understand that the red tape that you're speaking to in terms of licensed versus unlicensed, I'm not sure, what we can do for that. We are promoting the licensed home childcare agencies as much as we can, but I could look into that a little bit further.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Lepine.
Thank you, Chair, and through the committee, just to add to what Ms. Smith is saying. So the Ministry of Education provides the licensing, and one of the advantages that we have right now with the County of Renfrew being one of the operating the licensed home is that we have staff who work very closely with the ministry and the licensed homes. There's also the Renfrew County and District Health Unit involved. There's quite a few pieces that are involved with this. And I can say that, the advantage with us is that we are close to the ministry, so we probably have an opportunity to add on assistance in terms of getting some of these homes granted. Prior to the County of Renfrew taking on the licensed home, you may recall back in prior to 2018, it was a company called Homemade Tales that managed the licensed home, and they were an independent agency, whereas the County of Renfrew, and taking it on, we have weekly meetings with the Ministry of Education in terms of all kinds of stuff related to childcare. So our goal is to really try to make that communication easier and smoother, and our staff work very closely with the potential licensed operators to ensure that they meet the criteria. When it comes to the health and safety of our children, the Ministry of Education has some I think red tape is a fair term, but it's also to be able to assure parents that when they enter into a licensed home and working with our staff, that they can safely leave their children knowing that there are several checks and balances that are in place. So our hope is that we continue to lobby on behalf of our licensed homes, that the process goes quickly. But as you know, with the current child care program that is being rolled out, Ministry is very focused on rolling out this new child care early learning program. And I think we're probably seeing slight delays just in terms of the amount of attention that they can give to getting licensed operators on board versus trying to get this new program rolled out. But I think it's a very fair question, and I know Margot and her staff work very closely with the ministry and our operators, and we want to really encourage more operators to keep trying, because you're right, with a wait list like that, we can take on up to 20 homes. We want to see them come on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Oh, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee, and thank you, Director Lupine, for the extra information. It also brought something to mind when we're talking about the Canada-wide early learning childcare system that's coming into play. Only licensed childcare agencies can apply to opt into that system. So perhaps we will see some unlicensed homes be interested in becoming licensed as a result.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, then item number 3 is the licensed child care statistics. And thank you very much for the explanation on license capacity versus operating, because I know one of the challenges, I believe, is still finding qualified early childhood educators to staff some of our places and provide more opportunity for hitting those licensed capacities. So please go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. Item number 4 is an amendment to bylaw 50-17, which is a County of Renfrew new licensed home agreement. And I will go ahead and read the recommendation. That the Community Services Committee recommends to County Council that bylaw number 50-17, authorizing the County of Renfrew to enter into an agreement with licensed home childcare service providers, be amended to enter into an agreement with Jessica Walker located in Haley Station.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Love, seconded by Councillor Grills. And did you want to go ahead with the background then, Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Chair. So as mentioned earlier, the County of Renfrew operates a licensed home childcare agency, so we're very pleased to be able to present an agreement for a new home in Haley Station. This will bring our total number of licensed homes from 5 to 6. Besides this new one, we have 3 located in Pembroke, 1 in Eganville, and 1 in Arnprior. Staff continue to promote this program, and hopefully we will have more of these agreements to present in the future. So this is a good news story as well.
Thank you very much. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And I'll need a mover and a seconder to adopt the Community Services Report as a whole. Moved by Councillor Arrears, seconded by Councillor Reinwald. Any comments or questions on the report as a whole? Warden.
Thank you very much, Chair. And through you to Ms. Smith, I know you said you had big shoes to fill, but you have come to this committee meeting like you've been here for years. Your confidence exudes from you, and I think you're doing an absolutely fantastic job, and I have no doubt in my mind you would not have been hired for the position unless you were more than qualified. So doing a great job. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I don't think committee will disagree with any of those comments. So all in favor to, I do have the mover and a seconder, so all in favor on adopting the report as a whole. And that's carried. Is there any new business? Seeing none, then we'll move to our closed meeting, which is pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the purpose of trade secret or other information with significant impact on competitive position of other party. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Reinwald, seconded by Councillor Arrears. All in favor? That's carried. We are in closed. Welcome back, everybody. So I will now turn this meeting back over to Director Lapine for the recommendation.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to committee. The recommendation, it's called Affordable Supportive Housing in Renfrew County Integrated Community Housing Complex in Pembroke, Ontario. And the recommendation reads that the Community Services Committee recommend to County Council that they accept the Pembroke Affordable Multi-Residential concept as presented by VG Architects, and further that staff be directed to proceed with the tender process to build new housing units located at Lee Street and Douglas Street in the City of Pembroke on lands owned by Renfrew County Housing Corporation, and further approve the reallocation of $250,000 from the Ontario Priorities Housing Initiative program that was originally approved for an affordable secondary suites program to be used for the integrated community housing complex in Pembroke, Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lapine. You've heard the recommendation. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Grill, seconded by the Warden. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The date of our next meeting will be Tuesday, September the 13th, 2022, and then I'll need a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Reinwald, seconded by Councillor Love. All in favor? That's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.